It's your big day. Good morning, everyone. It's like 7:10 in the morning, and Eden is going to school today, which is really exciting. The first time she's going to school. I found myself feeling emotional about this yesterday, which it kind of caught me off guard, but I just think it was like it's the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. It's just kind of weird for me. I'm excited for her and just excited that this worked out. Excited that she has this new adventure, new experience ahead of her. Also, Ben and I got some treats and a couple special things for her first day of school. Eden is a really healthy eater. Hi. She loves potato chips. So I found these. They're organic. This is a little bit of an inside joke. For those of you that watched our AT videos, Eden was in charge of lunch. Oftentimes, she would get these for our lunch. And lastly, for an actual school item, we got her this refillable mechanical pencil. It's your big day. Your dad and I got you some special things to start your first day of school. I got you 6 little bags of potato chips because I know you like potato chips. If you want to take these to school as a little memory. This is a refillable mechanical pencil.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, which I think will be nice. So how do you feel about your first day of school?
Well, last night I was like really nervous and I had a really hard time getting to sleep, but now I'm like pretty excited and I think a lot more confident than I was last night. Not really because of like what we'll actually be doing, but more of like the whole experience. It just makes like it's so unfamiliar to me that it like I don't know, it's really weird.
And you don't exactly know what it's gonna be like.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard.
I think I might get lost even though that school is really small.
Well, I think you'll get the hang of it. The school is literally in our backyard. It's right there. So I think that's super nice that she doesn't have to go very far at all. Okay, so Eden didn't have a backpack, so I gave her my backpack that I think I've had this backpack for like 10 or 15 years. Well, probably not 15.
Yeah.
Maybe 10, 12 years, a while.
It's just like a binder and notebooks and my schedule, and I made like a copy of...
For a second?
Yeah, but most of the stuff is in here, and my water bottle.
Oh, your water bottle.
I haven't packed my lunch stuff yet.
And Eden made, what did you make for lunch for yourself?
I cut up vegetables and fruits and put them in a container, and then in a separate container I made like a Capri salad.
And then you got a lot of the ingredients from the Homony's garden, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk Eden to school, but I'm not gonna walk her the whole way. I don't want to embarrass her. Oh, you look so cute in your backpack. Alright. I know you'll do great. Sorry for smishing your glasses. Bye. I think she'll do great. Today's a big day. The last time someone went to school in our family was when Dove, our 18-year-old, went to kindergarten. And none of our other kids have ever been to formal school, public school, or private. And so Eden, our 16-year-old, she's in 11th grade and she's going to public school, and today is the first day of that.
And yesterday we didn't know if she was going to be in 11th grade or 12th grade. We were like...
We didn't even know if she could get in, like...
We were like arguing about what grade she should be in. And Cam was like, I don't want to do any more paperwork.
Yeah.
So a lot led up to this happening. You know, we haven't been against public schools. I think at times we were. We almost like had to be to believe in our decision to homeschool and then to lead towards probably more unschooling. But now I'm not either for or against it, but it still marks a big benchmark in our family to have a child leave the home, even though it's just across the block.
We believe in giving our kids freedom of choice for most areas of their life. And especially as they get older, the freedom like increases. And so Eden is making her own choice by going to school. Both Ben and I are just sitting back thinking, wow, she's making her own choice. And it's a big choice.
Now, a couple weeks ago, we made a video where we were still in the process of making this decision. We got quite a few comments about this that we want to respond to. Jason says, parents, there are no rules so that you can become individuals who are independent and make informed decisions on your own. Kid, I want to go to public school. Parents, I don't want you to do that.
I don't really know where he's getting this, because I did share my feelings about her decision that have even morphed and changed in the last couple weeks since I've shared it, that I had mixed feelings about it, and that it was kind of hard for me, but I'm glad she's making this choice for herself. Never did I tell her, Eden, I don't want you to do this, because I don't think that would have been helpful, or not. It's not even part of my philosophy as a parent to like impose that on
But
them.
that doesn't mean there aren't difficult things about her decision for us to do.
Yeah, I'm human too, and I think that's okay for my kid to even see that I'm human and I have emotions.
And for those of you guys that don't know, so in 2019 we did away with all house rules for our kids as kind of an experiment. And now we're what, 8 months into that? But no rules doesn't mean we don't have preferences or expectations or hopes or feelings as parents. And in the same way that we think our kids are entitled to share their hopes and feelings and preferences, we have hopes and feelings and preferences, of which we share more transparently on this vlog than we would probably if we weren't filming
in real life.
This stuff. Yeah, the stuff we share on camera isn't necessarily, although our kids do have access to watching it if they want, it's not like we sit down our kid and be like, man, this is so hard for me. You need to listen to me rant about this for an hour. I think this person's like trying to point out some sort of contradiction. We think all these things can be coexisting. Like our kid can want to go to public school and we can have no rules and it can be hard for us. Okay, same commenter, but these are the ones getting the most likes. Jason says, you should be excited that your kids are making mature and thoughtful decisions for their own lives. These are just baby steps to them eventually leaving the house. And then Pauline responds, Cammie did say she is excited for her.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think I have to be excited for her. I think I, as a human, have a right to not be excited about certain decisions my kids make, or to be excited about them. This decision, I happen actually to be excited for her. I think she's a really thoughtful, mature kid, and I'm proud of her. And I'm excited for this adventure for her to have. But if I wasn't, I don't think you should shame someone for not feeling a certain way.
And I think it could be actually dangerous as a parent to fake excitement if you're actually not. And like we already said, this was mixed. I think, in fact, I was really proud of Eden going against our family's grain and making this decision to go to this institution for a while. I'm like, that takes courage. That's cool.
Hold on.
But it's still kind of difficult for us in some ways. By the way, sorry about the lighting. It's just so beautiful and nice out here that I can't move. And look, there's Eden's school.
This next comment's from Blanca. If Eden wants to get more education, let her do it. It would open so many more life opportunities for her. Complicating your life? She's just going to school.
There's a double question mark there.
Complicating your life?
Should have an exclamation point.
Hello?
This last line, I think, is what I want to focus on. She's just going to school. I think a lot of people don't really understand how much of a difficult transition this is for the way that we've architected our life.
It's a complete culture shift for one of our kids. Like I said before, I don't think it's bad, but we've been out of that school culture for 13 years.
What's really fascinating, probably one of the most extraordinary things our family has done, at least in the last couple of years, is the Appalachian Trail through hike, which took us 5 months. The number one question we got about this trail is, what did you do about school? The number one thing people cannot comprehend about the hike is, how did you hike and do school? And we have a very simple answer that's actually very easy, which is, we didn't do school. We did the through hike. And what's fascinating to me is that so many people find the through hike so encouraging and amazing and spectacular, and they say all these cool things about it, and yet they also want to hold this school thing.
Well, people don't
as
realize
high value.
you can't have both. Like, you actually have to sacrifice one or the other. You have to either say, my kids aren't going to go to school so that they can have these other opportunities. I mean, she's talking about, oh, this will open so many more opportunities. I get where she's coming from, and I think that could be true, but no one looks at the other side, where if you're going to school all these years, all this time, Eden would have never had that opportunity to do the AT, which to me, I think is an amazing opportunity for her to have been able to do the AT.
So in the past 15 years, the way that our family has traveled, just as an example, is when we decided that we wanted to go to New York City for a week and watch documentaries about the history of New York, and then spend the next day going to all the places in the documentary, we didn't think twice about it. We just did it. Mm-hmm. When we decided that we want to through hike with our kids and give them that experience about themselves and the world and nature and people and that education, we didn't think twice about it. We just did it. Now, it's more complicated. I don't think it's bad, but what I don't like is if people are just minimizing and they're saying, oh, complicating your life, it shows that they don't understand the other value set that we've come to see as really important that we want to give to our kids.
And we've been really intentional about architecting our life in such a way that we could give our kids and ourselves these opportunities.
Yeah, I've created my whole business life around this so that I don't have to check into a business or a boss, so I can be free to prioritize our family's schedule over the schedule of a business or institution that's over me even.
Just wait, please. Okay, this comment's from Oreo. Yes, go. Your parents have failed you horribly on this front. I can't forget Ben's interview with that Greek teacher. He completely blew over his child being really behind in reading and fixated on things like a kid could cook a meal, LOL. Fight.
Wait, yeah. Pause, LOL. Yeah, I did blow over that. And you just blew over the fact that my kid could cook a meal and are very fixated on, what is it? Reading? Just pointing that out.
Fight for together shouldn't happen at the expense of the children. Lack of education feels like a mechanism to trap them and tie them to the family. The first step in control is to keep your subjects ignorant. Yeah, that's why we hike the Appalachian Trail, to keep our kids ignorant. Anyways, and don't let them peer pressure you. They will. I have seen you guys say many times when asked about doing this or that, I don't really want to, but I don't want to be the only one not to. Peer pressure. Well, I don't understand that,
I
but
don't even know what that means.
step away from that mess and get an education.
Okay, I want to start off with the first line. Yes, go. Your parents have failed you horribly on this front. I think there's a lot of pressure and shame that a lot of parents have. And we're not unique to this. I don't really feel it much anymore, but we used to. And that pressure is failing your children. I mean, what could be worse than that feeling of failing your kids? And this is what Oreo is accusing us of. And I don't agree, just because I don't think that any parent is really failing a child. Failing, I think, is like implies that there's this standard that we should meet.
It's passing judgment on the parent.
Yeah. But I guess the more specific question I would ask is, where have we failed our kids? What's the failure? Like, how would you describe it? Instead of just creating this generalization of shame and saying you don't measure up, I would love to hear, what ways do you think our kids are not capable of handling reality that they should be? How is it impacting them in a negative way? Because I just want to point out what I see. Our kids are socially very adept at conversing with 80-year-olds and 8-month-olds. They know how to make money. They have access to the internet and a wide range of people that have all sorts of information and talent, and they know how to get that information.
They obviously know how to make decisions that wouldn't be decisions we would make for them, which I think is a huge thing.
They know how to think independently from the world, but more importantly from us.
Right. That's huge.
They know how to hike and run and be physically fit and make food and do hard things. I don't consider that a failure. Now, if you're talking about knowing how to excel in an academic environment that we have very little value for in our life, I guess we failed at teaching them how to excel there. But I don't think that's very much like what they're going to face in the rest of the real world, at least the type of the real world that we're preparing them for. I just want to call that out and ask that. What's the failure? You can't just
be specific, because I'm actually fine owning specifics.
Oh, I have no problem saying, we did not prepare our kids for certain things.
Right.
And there's pros and cons to our parenting style. But if you're sending your kids to school, I want people to know there's pros and cons to that parenting style too.
Yeah.
So, but I wouldn't call them a failure just because they don't prepare their kids to be entrepreneurs or hikers. Where's this smoke coming from?
It's my thing.
The second thing I want to talk about is lack of education feels like a mechanism to trap them. We're not preventing our kids from education. Education is learning. We've kept our kids so far from school.
From the traditional public school system.
Which is very different. I mean, who was it? Mark Twain that said, don't let school keep you from learning, or education keep you from learning, or educate, whatever.
I was a public schooler, okay? I think sometimes being in that system traps you in you have these certain mindsets that you can't really get out of. You're used to pleasing people and like checking boxes, and you can't think outside of the box.
Public school, in my opinion, primarily trains you to follow directions and orders and to submit to authority. It teaches other things also, like reading, writing, and arithmetic, but the underlying lesson is follow directions. It's how you succeed. It's how you get A's, by doing what they tell you to do. So if you're going to talk about control and ignorance, we give our kids the choice. We do have a certain slant of what we prefer and what we think is more effective, but that's not control. That's just a belief system. El Montaigne says, wow, sending your kid to school is inconvenient to you and interruptive to your lifestyle. It's not hard to have one child get up in the morning and walk behind your house to a school on her own. The fact that you find it difficult because it's not on your schedule is ridiculous. She's old enough to get up on her own, get a bowl of cereal, and walk out her front door without any contribution from you. If she can't do that, how is she supposed to get a job in the future and have any responsibility in her life? So there's kind of two issues I have with this comment. One is just this tone from the beginning. Wow, sending your child to school is inconvenient to you and interruptive to your lifestyle? Yeah, it is.
And I don't think it's helpful to talk to people this way. It minimizes their own feelings. That I'm sure this person has certain feelings that I could say like, wow, you're angry at that person because that person did that to you, which I don't think is it's not empathetic. It's not saying that person has it's different from me, and it's okay for them to be different from me and to feel different things.
Yeah, it's really condescending and dehumanizing. It's making it sound as if our experience and feelings are less important than yours. And I don't think they are.
Now, you could not understand it, which I'm totally fine with that. Like, maybe you have a completely different life and perspective, and you're like, can you help me understand why this is difficult for you? But there's not any tone of trying to understand. There's just like a passing judgment.
We gotta scoot over because the light is really bad at this point.
Which way?
And the reason why this is important is a lot of people are really afraid to leave whatever's popular in terms of their culture, whether it be a school system or a homeschooling system or a co-op. And a lot of parents, I think, parent out of fear because they're worried about this kind of judgment from assholes that are just like looking to look down on other people when they have like really no idea about why they're choosing the choices they're choosing or the sensitivities they have or they're feeling. Jeez, this is so bad.
Oh,
okay.
You can see us now.
The second thing I wanted to point out about this comment, and I think it gets at the heart of why a lot of people send kids to school, is the comment says, if she can't do that, how is she supposed to get a job in the future and have any responsibility in her life? We don't think our primary role as parents is to teach our kids how to get a job or to be employed. But I think that's different from responsibility and learning. And a lot of parents, that's their primary question is how do I get my kids employed? And for that, I think school is a really good option for a number of reasons. One is it gets people into the system where they go to school, to get into high school, to get into college, to get a resume, and to get hired by someone.
To get hired by someone and to know how to follow instructions and to work themselves up the corporate ladder.
And that's not been what's been valuable to us. As an entrepreneur who's owned 10 plus businesses and sold businesses, I found that the education I got in school was actually not that helpful for a skill set that I found. So what we're more interested in is teaching our kids to follow their passions, helping our kids learn the things that are interesting to them and how to navigate the world, of which employment doesn't have to be a main part of, it can be a part of, and how to create value in the world and make the world a better place. All of which we don't really think school necessarily does that. Not that it can't.
And it's funny to me, I mean, I think this person sees that the only type of responsibility that we could teach her is her getting up in the morning and getting the cereal and going to school, when Eden's learned a ton of responsibility in a ton of other ways other than getting the bowl of cereal, getting up and going to school. And I mean, she takes care of her smaller siblings, she makes meals, on the AT, she like was totally in charge of lunches for us, which is a huge deal. For some people, if they could just expand their mind a little bit and see, oh, you mean you can teach your kids responsibility in other ways other than just going to school. Now, going to school can be a part of it, sure, but it doesn't have to be the only way your kid learns responsibility.
And I've been under the impression, I mean, I don't want to shit on employment or jobs, but I think our kids are capable of going out and getting a job if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
But we haven't been emphasizing that as the primary role of their childhood, is to prepare them for that.
This comment's from A. Heats. Education is the key to success. They got at minimum learn to read and write and get their GEDs. People will not hire illiterate people. But your kids have more life skills than most kids because they spend their time doing the same stuff you do. What I appreciate about this comment is I can see that they see both sides, that they see like this is our culture we live in. So if you want to live in the culture, you kind of have to do the culture's things. But we've kind of created our own culture, and like we said before, there's going to be some limitations to that, but some, I think, actual advantages to that too. And this person's able to see both. I think some people do need to stay in our culture system, and then there's some people that don't need to. Like they're maybe lucky enough to be able to have other opportunities. I don't know.
So I really like the conversation that can be started by talking about the pros and cons of public school, the pros and cons of homeschool, the pros and cons of unschooling, and all these different models. There are pros and cons to all of them. I think in maybe some future videos we might get into it. But our family is really experiencing this like front and center right now because one of our kids chose to go to public school. And I'm really glad they did. I think it adds a level of diversity to our family that I don't want to be sheltered and be like, oh, we're our way is all awesome and the public school sucks, which is an
Right.
easy mindset to slip into.
Yeah.
But it's not an easy transition to be open-minded
Yeah.
always, and to be okay with, one, our kids making their own choices, and two, models that have, you know, they force us to deal with some of the negative things that we really don't want to deal with. All right, well, we'll see how her first day of school went.
Nothing's gonna stop me. Nothing's gonna stop me. I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna swim.
Look who came home. So, how was it?
It was kind of underwhelming.
Underwhelming?
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna stop me.
I have wanted to try out like public school for a while, just because it was always something that like I heard about and read about and watched movies about, but I never knew what it was like actually like. I also felt more kind of recently, as I got older, I felt more and more like I was behind. I felt like I wasn't learning enough, I didn't know enough, like we weren't doing enough work. So I wanted to try out going to school. It was kind of Dove's idea. I think she was the one who brought it up. She was like, you should try to go to high school. For me, it felt kind of like it was underwhelming. I think mostly because I was super nervous. Like the night before, it was really hard for me to sleep. Not even like because of the actual schoolwork, more just like the whole thing. I felt like it wouldn't be what I expected, or I don't know, something would go wrong. I felt like fine right after school, but now thinking about like tomorrow, I feel kind of fine. Thinking about this week, I feel fine. But thinking about like long term, like this semester, I don't know like how much or how, if I'm gonna finish this, or I know this is only the first day, but it feels kind of like lonely and depressing. The school is just like, it's basically like all these rooms with like really bright lights and just like chairs and desks and a bunch of people that I don't know and don't like care about, at least the same way that I do the people that I used to see every day, which was my family and my friends. That's really hard for me. I'm around all these kids who are like, oh, I don't like my siblings, and it sucks because some of them go here, and I like really miss my brothers and sisters and my parents. I'm not sure, like, I don't have any idea about the future. I think I'm just gonna try to get through tomorrow and then this week. It's kind of sad for me because I always felt like school was this huge thing, and now I feel like I'm in it and it's not. It's kind of just like, I don't know, but we'll see. Today was okay, and I think tomorrow might be a little bit better, hopefully.